Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with three key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent. Good evening, Malcontents. This here is the Malcontent. This is another episode of Malcontentment Happy Hour. How the heck is everybody doing tonight? Today is Monday, November 1st, 2021. Two months left. Two months left, and we can write this year off. Go ahead and spam those hearts. Let those mods and admins know you appreciate all the hard work that they do. And also mess with that Facebook algorithm. And I guess to a lesser extent, that YouTube algorithm and Twitch algorithm. If you're on Twitch, you can use our emotes. If you're a subscriber, we have plenty of badass emotes over on Twitch. All right. I'm going to kind of keep this a little short. I'm a little crusty around the edges today. I just think I ate too much candy. What was y'all's trick-or-treating situation? It was sad. I really thought that it would kind of be back to normal, that, we would have, it was a Sunday, the weather was perfect, King County numbers are we're not terrible, we're not a dumpster fire. I do believe a lot of people their heads are kind of in a place hey, I'm outside, I'm just to the door, it's good. And I think we might have had about the same number of kids that we had last year. We had so much candy left over. And for all the complaints about supply chain issues, I will say whatever candy I bought, it all tasted like it was made last week. I think I had some of the freshest Twizzlers of my life. They tasted like they had come just straight out of the factory. See, everybody's here. Oh, you get 5 in a normal year, 12. I live in a basement. I don't know, Dora. There could, Halloween, the spooky basement. All right, let's dive into it. The first thing I want to talk about, especially if you're in Washington State, tomorrow's election day. Vote. Please vote. You can't tell me what to do. If you don't like what's going on, you need to vote. I don't like the candidates that are on there. Then write in somebody. Go vote. Please vote. If you haven't voted yet, vote. We've taken the position of we're not going to, I explained this multiple times, we're not endorsing in the Seattle races. The board feels there's only 2 people on the board that live in Seattle. Everybody else doesn't. We don't feel it's our lane to be making recommendations as a publication that tries to focus on the east side. By proxy, there's a lot that happens in Seattle, so we talk a lot about Seattle. And I know we interviewed a lot of the different candidates, but again, we're not going to make an endorsement. I will say in the I'm drawing a blank on a name, and my notes just disappeared on me. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Do not vote. Do not. No vote. Wrong. Bellevue. Greg Smith. No. And for school board. And Bellevue. Fei Yang. No. No. Especially Greg Smith. I will give my skin in the game in Kirkland, and I am I told you I'm off tonight. I freely admit to this. Oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. I'm looking up a name. Bear with me. Don't force me to hit the it's like working on the COVID roundup to like 10 minutes ago. So I'm kind of winging some of my notes here. It's really embarrassing because we only did the interviews and published them. And oh, my goodness. All right, here we go. My endorsements for the Kirkland race, if you haven't done yours. No, this is the wrong freaking thing. Killing me. Sorry. Here we go. Part of the reason I'm hesitating is I know there are a couple of races where people are running unopposed. So for position number 3, I'm endorsing Penny Sweet. I think she's done an excellent job as mayor. I think her leadership was outstanding, particularly during the COVID outbreak. And I just see no reason to make a change. Now, the way that Kirkland doesn't vote for a mayor, the public doesn't. The mayor is voted for by the council. So in theory, right, so Penny Sweet is running for position number 3. That doesn't necessarily mean that she would continue as mayor. And I don't know if she wants to continue as mayor, to be candid. I guess I should have dug into that a little bit more. And I don't know what the pulse is on the city council if she is to win another term. For position number 5, it's Neil Black. And that's who I'm endorsing for that race. And largely it's for the same reason. I know, I know Charisse. I'm sorry, Charisse. I know she's a follower. And I know that she has been active in the comments on the page at times. I'm just of the position that I think Kirkland is a pretty well-run community, all things considered. And I'm just feeling like I see nothing in Neil's current candidacy. Good evening, Roger. I see nothing in Neil's candidacy to seeking another term for me to go. Everyone else is unopposed on those races in the city of Kirkland. So those are my. There you go. You got my two endorsements. Dora, again, I'm not doing endorsements for Seattle across the board because I don't live there. There's only 2 board members that live in Seattle, so we're not doing it. Nikita, excuse me, something in my throat. Just something a little bit got there on my throat. So, Nikita. Oh, Joy, there's no reason for that. And yeah, she is not in the area, and that is true. Her mother is ill, and it is true. Dan Davison is not in the area, and that's why I say it was I didn't want to go into the details, but it's in the wilds. But that's why I said it wasn't, and why I was saying that no, it was respectful, it was gracious. They provided information, and so in all sincerity, I'm not a fan. That's as far as I'll go in that. Not a fan. But nobody should be reading into Ann's denial to be interviewed because, Joy, that was part of the reason that was given, that she was having to head out of town. Yeah, like if there's people, feel free in the comments to light up. Like if y'all want to share your opinions on the Seattle races, light it up in the comments. I will give you my opinion on the Seattle race in the broad sense. When I'm looking at the polls, there's a ton of undecided, so it makes the polls a little hard to tell, hard to read what's in there. I see a county, King County. You know, I'll talk about King County too. My for Dow Constantine is well known. I mean, Dow Constantine is why I left the Democratic Party. And that shouldn't be a surprise. Everybody's listened to me for a while. That's on Inc., Digital Inc. I made that statement all the way back in 2019. He is literally the reason why I left the Democratic Party. I'm voting Joe Wen. I think he's qualified. I don't think that there's anything in there that makes me go, quite frankly, if there was somebody who had even more conservative chops, I would still probably vote against Dow Constantine. It would take something, you know, like a QAnon nut or a hardcore Trumper at this point for me not to vote against Dow Constantine. That's where my head at with him. I'm just done. I'm just done. And I've met him directly more than once. Super charismatic guy. God, he thinks on his feet so fast. I really like. I've watched him, and I'm just like, damn. I wish I could. Like, damn. Just wow. And he's good, right? He's good, but I'm done. A fair amount of our issues, I feel, with the unhomed, with crime, and what we treat as crime, but what we don't treat as crime, and all that ties back into the unhomed and the opioid crisis. Like, all of it is together. And I think a lot of it is just from this razzle-dazzle that we get from him. And I'm just done. I'm done. And I have a feeling that King County and Seattle, as much as everybody bitches, is just going to vote for more of the same. That's what I think's going to happen. And I know on the far right, there's people that are fixated, you know, like, oh, if we get rid of, that's just like, really? No. Anyway, that's my view on that. Where is everybody? There's only 28 of you. This is sad and depressing. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I guess I got to throw more work into this and get more people watching. We'll talk a little bit about COVID. I really do want to keep the show because I'm crusty around the edges tonight. So I do want to keep the show short. I do want to talk about, we'll do COVID update here. We're just stuck in a plateau. The Washington State Hospital Association said we're stuck in a plateau. The Department of Health, Dr. Shaw has expressed concern about, being stuck, potentially a sixth wave. Jay Inslee has talked about being stuck in a sixth wave. What we're starting to see is 6 weeks ago, we saw this huge divide between the most vaccinated counties and the least vaccinated counties, and the number of cases that we were seeing. That is starting to shrink because the basement for the least vaccinated counties is starting to go up. And so what we're seeing is, for the most vaccinated counties, we're not seeing that number move up much anymore. It's moving up 0.25%, 0.5% each week. That's it. There's some counties in eastern Washington where the vaccination rates jumped over 2% in the last week. Now, we know what drove that. That's teachers, hospitalists, and government employees being told, and firefighters being told, you're going to get vaxxed or you're not going to have a job. We know that's what drove those numbers. But again, there actually has been a pretty big bump in some of those counties. But what I'm starting to see is, as counties are getting to, I don't know, there's like cat fuzz or something on the friggin' end of the microphone here. As we're seeing counties break over the 70% vaccinated rate point, that's 70% everyone. because the way we track it is we track for not eligible, but for entire population. So when I'm saying 70%, it's entire population. That rate is slowing down. So you've got the two, right? So you have the bottoms coming up faster, and you have the top that's starting to basically flatten out. And then in the middle, you have all this variable things going on. There was one more county that moved up to 50%. I'm curious. I can go ahead and pull this up right now. Because I'm curious. So I'm going to let you... no, I don't want to sort by color. I want to sort by largest. I'm looking at our table that we track because all the vaccination data got updated today. I want to see if there's any county that's on the bubble right now. And so, yes, there is. So, like right now, Adams County is 49.7% vaccinated total population. That county will almost certainly roll over into the 50% group. The next one down is Benton County. They're at 49.2%. I think they're probably 2 weeks away. They could, but it depends on how many people were like, oh, okay, you're serious about the friggin' I got to get vaccinated. So they could potentially tip over to 50%. So I could see that. Is there anybody getting ready to tip over to 40% out of that bracket? Possibly there too. Columbia County's at 39.2%. Same thing. I'm kind of feeling like they're 2 weeks away. They could be 3 weeks away. Possible they could move up. We'll have to see. Now, the next thing I want to see is, Skagit's at 59%. I could actually see Skagit moving a full point. I wouldn't bet on it, though. I think they're probably two away. And I think what's going to drive that is that Skagit has a very, very significant COVID outbreak going right now in Skagit County. They actually have one of the highest rates of COVID infection in the entire state of Washington. They're up to almost 670 cases per 100,000 on a 14-day moving average. And again, they're one of the highest counties. There is no county on the bubble from going from in the 60s into the 70s. There is actually a very, very significant gap between the counties that are at 60% and 70%. Clallam County, they're at 62.3%, and then the next one is King at 70.5%. So there's nobody on the bubble there. But I do see some shifting that'll probably happen in the next week or two. And then it's probably going to be a slog before we see the next bump. Like Whitman County's at 38%. At current rate, that's going to take probably 2 months before they break into 40%. And that even may be optimistic. Stevens County remains at the bottom, 31.2% vaccinated. Facebook is just such a dumpster fire, Renee. The social media thing is just such a dumpster fire. I know a lot of people don't get the note. I actually never even heard the notification go off. So, I don't know how many are symptomatic versus asymptomatic. I would say that there probably isn't a whole ton of people at this point that are getting, testing for giggles at this point because of all of these vaccine mandates that are in place. So there are fewer and fewer places that now it's get tested or have proof of vax. So I would think that the prophylactic testing numbers are probably dwindling downward. Anyway, let's see, we talked about that. The eviction and foreclosure moratorium for the state of Washington is ended. It is still in place if you're in Seattle, Burien, or Kenmore. Still in place into early 2022. The rest of the state, it's done. It ended today. The numbers are kind of interesting. We did do an analysis of the numbers. It is in the most current update over on malcontentnews.com. We're estimating about 84,000 rental households, not 84,000 individuals, 84,000 households. That represents close to 200,000 people are facing eviction. So these are rental numbers. We're not able to kind of find the numbers of how many people in Washington State are in forbearance and how long is the forbearance and what are they looking for potential, for potential foreclosure. 27% of the households that are facing eviction are in Pierce County. Pierce County's got a huge problem for renters that are facing eviction. Normally, 3 to 5% of renters in the state of Washington are behind on rent under normal circumstances. Best estimate we have right now is 8%. So it's somewhere from 60 to more than 100%. I know those are big ranges. So we could say that 40,000-ish people that are facing eviction as of today are people that are impacted in some way from COVID. Because normally at any given moment, there's about 40,000 households facing eviction in the state of in the state of Washington, in the data that we pulled today. So there is help that is available. On our website today, we listed direct links to Bellevue, Kirkland, Woodinville, 98072 zip code only, because that's how Woodinville has it set up. And also if you're in unincorporated King County, which would include parts of Woodinville. If you're in Seattle, Burien, or Kenmore, you're still under protection from local rules, and those will end in the beginning part of 2022 for all three of those towns, and I suspect they will end. If you are behind and your hope is that there'll be another extension in the wintertime, unless even our kind of not so happy forecast for where COVID's going to go in the wintertime is even worse, way worse than what we said, that's the only thing I could see that's going to extend anything. So there is help available. There are dollars available. Actually, the biggest problem has been getting the dollars into the hands of either the people that need the help or the landlords, right? Because there's some programs that goes to landlords and then it's solved. There's other programs that go to the renters. The other thing that is happening in some cases, there are some landlords, they just want them out. They want the renters out. They're not going to work with people. And unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot. That whole lot can be done. So don't shoot the messenger. CDC meets tomorrow and Wednesday to talk about the panel's going to vote on vaccination for 5 to 11-year-olds. Doesn't seem like there's anything that's going to stop that freight train. So you could see an announcement as early as the 3rd. That's possible. A lot of people seem to think it's going to come on the 4th or the 5th. It will almost certainly come this week. I'll be stunned if it goes into the next week. And shots will be almost immediately available. There is a health fair that is coming up in Kirkland on November 6th. We did reach out to organizers in the city. As of right now, there is no plan and no accommodation for vaccination to be available for 5 to 11-year-olds at that health fair. I'm planning to get my booster at the health fair. I'm probably going to live stream it. That's my plan for Saturday, and then I'm just writing off my Saturday and Sunday morning. And I'm actually hoping that's what the case, because the worse you feel, the stronger the immune reaction, the better protection you have. So I'm actually hoping to kind of just be laid to waste. Anyway, we got that. I'm sorry for all the ums. I'm just not 100% today. I'm tired. My throat's a little, I'm just not 100%. Washington State Hospital Association met today. They were shared some numbers that were there. Here's something I think that was really important, which came out of the Mary Fairchalk doctor. She's with Mary Bridge Children's Hospital in Tacoma. She reported 114 pediatric patients came through their hospital in September, tested positive for COVID. 40% of those patients that went through the ER, 45 of those kids, ended up developing multi-system inflammatory syndrome, MIS-C. MIS-C it's very treatable, but it can be a very dangerous complication that can make kids very, very sick. It is somewhat like toxic shock syndrome, or it also can be like Kawasaki disease. And so 40% is a big number. You know, people are like, it's kids. It's just little kids. Yeah. Yeah, it's kids. And 40% of them apparently, you know, the school-age kids are getting this severe complication, and this just ignores the 20 to 30% that potentially get COVID long haulers for the rest of their lives. So wear a mask, get vaxxed, give a crap. Hospital situation, East is still really stressed. The numbers are like, you're just going down a little, but they're still wicked stressed. The North is real interesting to me. And the North is this rural, the North is the north part of the state, which is interesting because Skagit County is part of North. And their hospital situation there is actually darn close to normal. Their ICUs are only at 58%. Acute care is at 65%. And acute care, just under 12% have COVID. These numbers are real close to normal. ICU, 26% of patients have COVID. Ideally, the North would be situation normal if less than 20% of the people in ICU had COVID and less than 10% of people in acute care had COVID. And they're not far away from that. So the hospitals there are in really good shape. So Skagit County may be reporting a lot of COVID cases. The hospitalization numbers aren't reporting it. East is that whole, right, is Adams, Assateague Furry, Garfield, Lincoln, Penderell, Spokane. And again, they're feeling some pressure from Idaho. The Idaho Panhandle is just a dumpster fire. It has been a dumpster fire since the beginning of September, and it is just unabated up there. Dig a trench. Dig a trench, fill it with gasoline. The Northwest, which is the Olympic Peninsula, that's that hospital region, really stressed. That is a really stressed hospital region. Puget Sound is interesting, which is where we are, right? So that's Pierce, King, Snohomish County. 93% of ICU beds are being used. That's not good. 96% of acute care beds are being used. That's really not good. However, they're under 20% in the ICU with COVID. That's where you want to be. You want to be under 20%. So what they're seeing in the ICUs is other stuff because a lot of elective surgeries are starting up again in Puget Sound. And for acute care, they're at 13%. You want to be below 10. But like the Northwest, like I'm saying, they're stressed. They're at 21%. North Central, 25% patients in acute care. So 13% isn't bad. It's getting there. If you've been following on our website the scorecard for the hospital regions, you've probably seen there's a lot more yellows and a few more blacks, and those are good. So it's trending in the right direction, but hospitalizations are essentially plateaued. And they actually went up last week. From Friday to Friday, they went up 7%. We don't know what the numbers are because the Monday numbers always get adjusted. Always. So not everybody reports on Monday, and we know that. So we have to wait till tomorrow to see, is this increased trend going or is it just kind of a plateau? And then how does it move for the rest of the week? Evergreen is caring for 29 COVID patients right now. 5 million people today worldwide. 5 million people have died of COVID. They think the real number is closer to 10 million. So, you know, it's a lot of friggin' people. Globally, if COVID was its own thing, even on the 5 million number, it would be either the fourth or fifth biggest killer globally, which actually I was surprised when I saw that. Well, that's good news. Not good news that she was in the ER, Roger, but good news that the ER was quieter than normal. That's very good news. And I'm not surprised looking at some of the data. Whole bunch of people today are like, guess what? I got COVID. Jen Psaki, she has COVID. Oh my God, she's just so amazing. Jason Momoa has COVID. John Bon Jovi, COVID. I'm not making this up. I'm sure like some people are like, no, not Jason Momoa and John Bon Jovi. Yes, both have COVID. They both appear to be asymptomatic. Jason's just like, I'm chilling. John Bon Jovi was getting ready to go on concert. They did a rapid test before. He's like, guess what? You have COVID. He's like, really? Yeah, really. So he's 59. That's depressing. Christy Swanson, kind of a chud. Okay, she's not kind of a chud. She's a chud. She's like, an Obamagate. Let's see the birth certificate. MAGA. She actually said in a tweet 5 hours ago, I'm not anti-vax, because people are like looking at her Twitter history. Big fan of Joe Rogan. She has COVID. She's actually hospitalized with it. She's got COVID pneumonia. John Bon Jovi is 59. Well, there you go, Dora. Oh, Ersonate, Jen Psaki just... Oh. Dora, I'm sorry to hear this. Yes, exactly. Aquaman's got COVID. Everybody there that I just listed off is vaccinated. Christy Swanson, of course, is doing the dancing around thing. Am I not? It's none of your business. We know that means no. Candace Owens, oh my God. Like, I didn't even write about it because I'm just like, whatever, right? She's like, I got it and I survived. I'm like, you never even got tested. You went on this whole rant about how you wouldn't get tested, how you're going to take out the company. They had no right. Wait a minute. They don't get government funds. They're a private company. You asked for a private test at your place. That's why they said no. And you were just really an awful human being about it. And they don't take any government money. And because they're completely private and offer this concierge service, it was completely in the right to say no to you for the reasons that they said. You never got tested, and now you're declaring victory over a disease we don't even know if you had. Like, go away. Just whatever. Air Force, 96% vaccinated. However, that means 12,000 aren't. So glass half full or glass half empty, however you want to take it. U.S. Marine Corps, 93% vaccinated. Their deadline, November 28th. And the U.S. Marine Corps sent out a directive today. They're not taking any prisoners. Basically what the directive said, you got till November 28th. If you are not vaccinated, you are getting discharged. And you are getting a general discharge, which is not the same as getting, a good conduct discharge. General discharge, it's not as bad as bad conduct, but general discharge is not good. It does not look good on a resume. And they also made it very, very clear that some individuals may face court-martial. They will probably, in my opinion, strictly my opinion, reserve court-martial for higher-ranking Marines. That's my guess. But the Marine Corps memo today to the unvaccinated active duty members was crystal clear. It was basically, don't FAFO. You're going to FAFO, then you're gonna get the FO. You're gonna find out. So that's what's going on with the Marine Corps. No reports on how many crayons will be eaten between now and November 28th. I'm allowed to make that joke. Come from a military family. Alaska's a dumpster fire. There's really nothing else to say that. Just Bob. Mayor Bronson it's just all such a friggin' dumpster fire. Did I click on? There's like a whole bunch of stuff here in Alaska that's not supposed to be in the update today. So I don't know. I guess I was rushing this out, and it shows. The acting chief medical officer, Dr. Ann Zink, is blaming misinformation for the raging case of COVID that they have going through the state. I alluded to Idaho a little bit. They're in crisis standards of care still. Hospital officials there, state officials are just like, we're going to be in crisis standards of care forever. Not forever, but they're like, just get used to it. We're in crisis standards for care because you nut meats won't get vaccinated. You're not listening to us. Kansas, I did a TikTok about this. I was very upset. I'm really upset by this. and what happened in Kansas. Um, Cornell Beard is the president of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, District Lodge 70 in Wichita, Kansas. You know, Wichita, where they build a lot of airplanes, including this company we might have heard of called Boeing. Cornell Beard was in the Capitol in Kansas on Friday. He had 5 minutes to speak, and he made essentially a big anti-Semitic rant about COVID and mandates and vaccines. And the Kansas legislature, listening to him, did what any good legislatures would do when faced with a anti-Semitic rant. They applauded after he talked and agreed with him. So, apparently this union is part of the AFL-CIO. There is almost the AFL-CIO, the parent has come out basically condemning what was said, but that's all they're doing. The union's not saying anything. There's no call from the members, so there you go. People that I guess there's a bunch of anti-Semitic people who live in Kansas. So way to go, Kansas. Way to make us Jews feel loved and welcomed. Thank you. We really appreciate it, Kansas. We're basically saying you're the modern day Jew, Beard told the committee on Friday. You're going to wear that star. We don't give a damn if you complain about it. It just gets worse from there. And I can't even I can't even repeat it. It just gets that's as good as it gets. And it just goes downhill from there. Anyway, you got that. Montana, they're really good at hiding their Montana does everything to hide their numbers. It's if we don't report it, it's not happening. It's like the Florida strategy. And just wow. Yeah, it's just yeah. Yep. I'm reading your comments. What the heck happened here? Oh no, that edit did take. I'm looking at something. I'm like, wait a minute, I edited that too. And now I'm all of a sudden thinking did I publish? I was ready to freak out. Sorry. I was ready to have a freak out on air. New York on Sunday. Bunch of anti-mandate acts and vaccine protesters were outside in front of New York Governor Kathy Hochul's home in Staten Island. And one of the speakers there said they were going to burn down city halls and schools. And he got cheered, on that too. Because I've talked about this before. The anti-vax and the anti-government movements, yeah, they're intertwined. They're one and the same at this point. And then went on to mangle U.S. history about 1776, saying how, Americans just sit still and they just solved everything with a barrel gun, which is so ridiculously untrue. It's where did you learn this? Rumble? Did you not pay attention in fourth grade? God. Really? Really? You had the Tories, and the Tories were hey, we don't want anything to change. And the Tories were the conservatives, by the way. And it was almost 50-50, it was literally almost 50-50. And there's a whole bunch of people in the American, and the 3%er thing is bullshit too. But there's a whole bunch of people in the American Revolution that were just I don't want any of this, okay? I just want to grow my crops and survive and just go, which is the case in every frickin' war on the planet. But anyway, We also got a lot of foreign and outside help, you dumbass. Oh, and by the way, the Inspector General of the U.S. Army, the guy who wrote the Blue Book, the guy who literally created the Army Rangers, was gay. Like, really gay. Hardcore gay. Openly gay. But yeah, you're up there talking about burning schools and city halls because you're friggin' masters of the flippin' universe. I love it here. Wyoming actually is getting a little better. We may take Wyoming off of the travel alert list. I'm real close to doing it. Everything in Wyoming is actually pointing the right way. Another thing that's actually kind of interesting, Wyoming had an emergency session of the legislature. They were trying to pass, anti-mandate rules and all. And got to remember, Wyoming's this really conservative state. And interestingly, sanity prevailed. They almost basically didn't pass anything. And sanity won in that state where legislatures were going, if we pass this, there's the laws of unintended consequences, and this could create actually bigger problems for us. So if this is performative, we want to do this. So Wyoming had a moment of lucidity, unlike Idaho. Anyway, there we got. Last thing I kind of want to talk about on the COVID update, right, is on the disinformation side. 2 studies about vaccine and myocarditis. 2 studies have been pulled now. The first study got pulled was out of Canada, and that one was pulled back right at the end of September. Or actually, it was more pulled middle of September. And that one got pulled because of a huge mathematical error in the data analysis in that study, which reached a completely wrong conclusion. So that's why that one got yanked. The second one that got pulled is one that just got pulled, which is, this name is such a mouthful, Myocarditis Adverse Events in the U.S. Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS, in association with COVID-19, injectable biological products. This was in MedPub, and it was on the National Institute of Health website. It's been pulled temporarily. It's not coming back. The reason it got pulled is that it's been revealed that now it does say it uses VAERS data at the front, but it was completely unfiltered VAERS data. Nothing reviewed. So they just pulled the raw VAERS data where anybody can just go in and go, I'm typing something into VAERS. It made me magnetic and it made my heart explode. And that's the data they used. So anyway, both those studies pulled. If you see people saying 1 in 1,000, that's disinformation. If you see people making wild claims, the study, National Institute of Health, VAERS database, yeah, that one's been yanked too. So both of those are they're no. And then it's explained in our latest update on why that is. Derpity derp 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 derpity derp derp. Yeah, Wyoming, there's only like 576,000 people. No, I don't think 577,000. Oh man, Idaho, just dig a trench. Just dig a trench. I mean, it's like I look at Florida, I'm just like, we could just give them to some Latin American country. They'll just blend in perfectly. But I look at Idaho, and it's like, I wouldn't want to afflict Idaho on anybody. It's like, who do we give Idaho to? It's like, I don't know, nobody. Can we give them to Russia? Let's give Idaho to Russia. Then they'll find out what rights and freedoms, what that all looks like. I guess the last 2 topics I want to talk about, I didn't spend a lot of time on either of these today. The first thing I want to talk about is the Supreme Court. They're hearing arguments over the abortion ban law in Texas. Here's my hot take on it. Based on some of the questions that are being asked by the Supreme Court and some of the that is being given to the defending attorneys and the arguments in the Supreme Court, right now, I would say the Supreme Court is leaning towards ending that. Very difficult to call the tea leaves on that, but at least by the questions that were out today, that's what it looked like. So that's my guess there. The other one I want to talk about real quickly is on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Today was the first day of jury selection. It's gone really fast, which is concerning. There's a TikTok that we shared. I've talked about on the show. There's a TikTok that was done by a lawyer that we did. They call it a duet, where, I just basically am on the other side of the screen nodding my head and pointing and stuff. You can go find that duet. And I really recommend. The cool thing is about TikTok is kind of like Twitch. You don't need to have an account. You can just go to TikTok.com on a browser. Don't need to download the app. And you just look at it and screw them. And it's a bit of a dumpster fire. It really is. The platform's a total dumpster fire. Anyway, there is an explanation that was done by a lawyer that explains this whole thing about not being able to use victim and clarifying some other things. It's a tremendous video. If you want to get educated by a subject matter expert, go there, go watch her video. It's worth watching. It explains it. The bottom line is this whole thing, you can't use the word victim. It's really been spun up. This particular judge, that's his MO for all cases. And his argument on why not to use the word and the fact that this is historically what's been done is really actually a practice that should be done by other judges. And she explains why very well. And then the other thing on the arguments about, well, they can use lewd, or that's really been blown out of proportion, just as the word victim. And what you can and can't use and when it can't be used is also been blown out of proportion. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a big trial, and we'll see what happens. He's certainly not a sympathetic character, that is for sure. Again, the big concern here is how quickly the jury is getting picked there. Well, as I always like to say, it just takes one. All it takes is one. I'm a little more hopeful after the Derek Chauvin trial. And I get it. This is Wisconsin versus, I get all of that. I don't think a whole lot of people were expecting Derek Chauvin, despite the fact on how magnificent of a case was built against him. We've seen lots of magnificent cases built against other police officers. And it falls back to, it just takes one. It just takes one. So and I get it, it's not a cop and blah, but I'm a little more, I feel a little better, say, than I did if this was happening before the Chauvin trial. On this subject of police, I should have put this on the ticker, but it's not on the ticker. Jeff Nelson, who was the first police officer charged on I-940. He's facing first-degree assault, which is essentially attempted murder, second-degree murder, and another charge is escaping me in the death of Jesse Surrey in 2019. His hearing was supposed to be in February. They have been trying over and over again the extension. The judge, the last hearing before this other hearing, the judge was basically, over my dead body, you've had enough extensions. We're going to see your happy asses in court in February. Yeah, he got another extension. Now it's June. And he is getting paid over $90,000 a year as a police officer from the city of Auburn. He's been on a paid vacation since 2020. And he'll be on a paid vacation into June of 2022. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, Kayla, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. I'll have to see it. I definitely have my concerns over where it's going to go. And then, of course, I'll be, what a hero, Rex. Great way to put it. I guess the last thing is, we posted this over the weekend on our Twitter. Mike Solon wrote this letter after Jenny Durkin was like, hey, we're going to give you, $25,000 for lateral moves and $10,000 for new cops and 911. And, Mike Solon basically wrote this letter like it's not enough. And it's on our Twitter. You can go read the letter. It's kind of a dumpster fire of a letter. And the reason I say that is, the reason I mean, it is a dumpster fire because I guess there's several takeaways that you can have from that. The first thing is that if you follow his math, which is somewhat embellished, he's basically admitting that the department's been defunded 50% under his watch. Great stewardship there of the union there, Mike. Great showing how you're not doing a good job as union president. I realize you don't see it that way and you're a professional victim at this point and all. But anyway, I digress. The other thing that I got out of that letter is no amount of money, no amount of resources, no amount of police officers on the street will ever be enough. You could budget that police department for 10,000 officers, give them all armored personnel carriers with rocket launchers and blanket immunity to do whatever they want. It still won't be enough. That's the second thing I got out of there. And then, of course, the whole thing is, hey, we're ready to come off of the dissent decree, and then the politicians stabbed us in the back, and we've been good. And it's like, no, you haven't. Like, no, you haven't. And there were already lots of, wait a minute, they're doing what? They're taking you off. And then starting on May 29, the abuses of the police department are incredibly well documented. And the abuses were so egregious in some cases that even the OPA, of which we've learned is basically in the pocket, right? The OIG basically said the OPA is in the pocket of the police union, and they are not properly vetting cases, and they are not looking at things independently, and they are not operating the way that they should be operating. And Meyerberg is complicit in this. This is what the OIG had to say. And even then, they're finding stuff that was so egregious that they're going, yeah, this was really bad. So, Dora, I like that. Thank you, Dora. So it's like, no. Not to mention the federal courts decided twice that you violated the existing federal court order. So, I mean, twice. You were found in August to violate it, and then you were found in December of 2020 to have violated the August, you need to cut this out. So you reap what you sow, man. That's all there is to it. Yeah. He got who knows? Did he get COVID or not? Who the frick knows? I mean, if he's still on the payroll, he apparently got vaccinated, or he's asked for a religious exemption. So we'll see what happens. I think that's everything I got. Oh, the other one, Manchin. Jesus Christ. It's like, Cinema and Manchin. It's like, did they play rock, paper, scissors? Who's going to screw it up for the Democrats today? Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. I'm going to go screw it up for everybody. And, Manchin is, I need more time to read this 1.75 trillion. I need a little more time. I don't think we should vote on it this week. Just like I knew he was going to be problems, but it's just stunning the level of problems. And Kristen Sinema is just, she's trash. Cinema. She's trash. She's just trash. She's just a Republican. I mean, and she's like trying to wrap herself and like, I'm channeling John McCain. It's like, no, you're not. You're not channeling John McCain. You got to be kidding me. And like the things that Manchin are blocking are things that his home state of West Virginia desperately needs. Like desperately needs. So I'm just reading some of your comments. They really are. And like, I knew this was going to happen. And I'm like, I don't understand, like, How did Susan Collins get reelected in Maine? What the hell, Maine? Like, seriously? Maine? What the hell? Citizens United was a train wreck, which ironically, I'm part of that is anyway. John McCain has some of his fingerprints in the whole Citizens United decision. All right, y'all. Tonight is Squeaky Pig night. Squeaky Pig. I just made everybody's dogs go. What was that? All right, y'all. I'm pretty crusty tonight around the edges. I think you've gotten everything you're going to get out of my gas tank. I think I'm going to call it a night. We will do this again on Thursday, and I will be brighter and happier and perkier. I hope. One more time as we're rolling credits. Spam those hearts one more time for those mods and admins. Let them know you really appreciate all the hard work they do. I know that I do. Malcontent out.
You're the white devil, bitch! Damn!
Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile! You're the malcontent!
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontent Antifa, fuck you!
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter.